Action. Welcome to my mid-year freakout check-in book tag for 2021. But first, let me know in the comments how you're feeling right now. Are you feeling good? Not feeling anything right now? It don't matter, just let me know in the comments. I'm doing the mid-year freakout book tag and the mid-year check-in book tag. The mid-year freakout book tag was created by Chammy of the channel Chammy and by Ellie of the channel Earl Grey Books. And the mid-year check-in book tag was created by Dane at the channel Dane Reads and Harriet at the channel Harriet Rosie. I didn't read a lot of books this year, but I got the idea from Sajid at Books of My Social Life after watching his mid-year freakout tag. He divided it up into the first half being a wrap-up and the second half being a TBR/book haul. First question. How many books have you read so far this year? I have read 9 books. I start off the year with Shoulda Coulda Woulda by Dwight Allen O'Neill, Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, The Prophet by Robert Jones Jr. All 3 of these were a part of my 2 months that I spent in the time of slavery. I also read these for Blackathon. Then I read the Grisha trilogy, which was in preparation for the Netflix adaptation and also for the Asian Readathon. Then I read Life After Death by Sister Soldier. And recently I completed Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume 1 by Robert Kirkman with art by Corey Walker, Ryan Otley, and Bill Crabtree. Number 2, what genre have you read most so far this year? I have read mostly literary fiction. That would be The Prophets, The Underground Railroad, and I would consider Kindred also literary fiction, although it's kind of like a science fiction, speculative fiction situation. Also, Life After Death, that would be considered, I think, literary fiction because of how it's written, but literary fiction. Number 3, best book you've read so far this year. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. I enjoyed the writing in this and I learned so much from reading this. And to me, it was a compelling story. Also, I need to watch the adaptation to kind of compare. I also enjoyed The Prophets. I enjoyed the writing in this. I thought it was just such beautiful writing. Although sometimes I didn't fully understand everything that I read, I did think a lot of how these sentences and paragraphs were constructed. I thought they were just very, very beautifully written. I'm not a poetic, prosy person, but I just loved the beautiful quotes in here. And also the premise of like 2 gay slaves and the time of American child slavery, like that I thought was such an interesting premise. And I also enjoyed Invincible Ultimate Collection Volume 1. It was such interesting artwork. It was a love letter to superhero stories, superhero comics, but it was also like a subversion of the superhero comics and stories. Now I'm looking forward to reading the next volume in this and watching the Amazon adaptation of Invincible. Number 4, best sequel you've read so far this year. So far this year, I have not read any great sequels. I did reread the Grisha trilogy and was very disappointed on my reread of it. I was so much more critical of reading it. Life After Death by Sister Soldier. This was definitely a direct official sequel that I read. It was not that great. I didn't hate it as much, but I also did not love it, so it definitely was not the best. But it was a sequel that I read. Number 5, biggest disappointment. Number 6, biggest surprise. This was something that surprised me, but also disappointed me because it surprised me that, although it didn't really surprise me that much, the thing is I didn't expect to be as disappointed by it. That's what surprised me about it. And Shoulda Coulda Woulda by Dwight Allen O'Neill. It surprised me that it disappointed me because I thought, although it's a short read, I would have gotten a lot of inspirational stories, a lot of motivational stories. I would have gotten some life lessons from this. It didn't give a lot of that fulfillment. Number 7, favorite new author. I have had no favorite new authors. I was hoping that Okweke Emezi and Kason Collender would be my new favorite authors. My intention was to read their books for Queer Blackathon, and I did not get around to that. Number 8, newest favorite character. Number 9, newest fictional crush. Number 10, a book that made me cry. And for all of these, there was none. There was no book that made me cry. I don't have any new fictional crush, and I don't have any new favorite character. A book that made you happy. As much as I felt a ways about this book, I will say that it did make me happy to read from Winter Santiago's perspective again. I just love a black Brooklyn girl who's just out here like getting her life, getting her hustle on, you know, doing her thing. So I appreciated this book for that. Now onto the TBR slash book haul. Number 12, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. To start off, I will go with David Mogo, God Hunter, and Son of the Storm by Suyi Davies Okongbowa. They're beautiful and intriguing covers with very tribal elements to them. The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I love this cover because I just love all of the vibrant colors. It's giving me like this claymation, but also like miniature elements to it. I have Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, although this mythical fantasy creature with like this dragon slash bird hybrid situation. This isn't really something that I'd go for, but I just love the gold, fiery gold, and this like infinity symbol that the mythical creature is making. Also, Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. I think this is such a beautiful cover with the little vignette of this beautiful little couple, so adorable couple. I am loving this little pink too, this little salmony pink, kind of almost goes with what I'm wearing. I love the cover for Get Good With Money by Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista. I am looking forward to this. I love this cover though. I think she looks so beautiful in this green, her beautiful skin, her beautiful smile. I love this green and I love the little grayish background. And I'm looking forward to reading this because I want to really get good with my money, and I do think this would be a great resource for that. Yesterday's History by Kosoko Jackson. I love this cover. I think it's such a beautiful cover. It's just so chic, and it really embodies the premise to me of the story, which is like a time travel, queer, love triangle situation. I don't know, it just embodies it. Another queer sci-fi story, Winter's Orbit by Irvina Maxwell. I am looking forward to reading this. I love this cover though. It's giving me like a Star Wars, like it's just giving me a space opera movie poster, and I love that. Hopefully I enjoy this, but hopefully this also gets an adaptation because it's already got a poster example here ready for the movie. Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. I recently got this and I am looking forward to reading this, but I love this cover. I have the first and the second volumes of Heartstopper. Still haven't gotten around to reading those, but I sure will. And I know that the fourth volume is out, but that's in paperback, and I want the hardcover, and the hardcover is coming out later this year. Also, Dream Daddy, a dad dating comic book. I kind of heard a little bit about this before. I think it's like a video game, but I'm not sure. But I love this cover. I think it's such a beautiful cover, but it's also a very sexy cover, and I'm just like, oh, I'm here for it. Like, even the backside, such a beautiful, sexy cover. And Infinitum, an Afrofuturist Tale by Tim Fielder. I love this cover. This is also giving me sci-fi movie poster cover. It's a lot of images, a lot of pictures, few words, but I think this will be such a great story. Hopefully this also gets an adaptation into being a movie, because this looks like it'll be an epic movie. Number 13, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Right now, my most anticipated release is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. I have been looking forward to reading that. The only other book that I'm anticipating is Lil Kim's memoir that should be coming out like later this year in November. If you think there are any other books that you think I might be interested in reading based upon the books that I've already read or some of the books that I've already mentioned, definitely leave those recommendations in the comments and I will definitely check those out. Number 14, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Let's get to it. I definitely would love to read Get Good With Money, or at least the parts of the book that really apply to me at this moment. I still need to read Skim before the end of the year. I started it. I'm 60 pages in. I plan on restarting it so that I can really get immersed in it. I also plan on reading Crystal Fighters by Jen and Tyler Bartell. I've been meaning to read this for the longest since I got it. You Brought Me the Ocean by Alex Sanchez with illustrator Julie Morrow. I am looking forward to reading this. I've heard great things about it. I've also kind of like skimmed through it and it looks like it's going to be really interesting, real steamy, real angsty, real feisty. There Are Things I Can't Tell You by Adaku Mofumofu. I started reading a little bit of this and so far it's been intriguing, but I need to like restart it and get immersed in it again. And now that I've finished my reread of the Grisha trilogy, it's time time to get to The Six of Crows duology. Also, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I've been meaning to read this for the longest. I would also love to read Meet Cute Club by Jack Harbin before the end of the year. Seems like a very entertaining read. Now that cannabis is legal in New York State, I got the Little Black Book of Marijuana, The Essential Guide to the World of Cannabis. I will very likely be reading this before the end of the year so that I could get up in my knowledge about cannabis and understand it a little bit more. You know, I am sure that practical knowledge of cannabis and weed and doing all of that, like just learning about it through like hands-on experience, is far better than reading a book. But still, this would be a nice little primer, a nice little starter to getting my hands on the real thing and doing a real thing. You know what I'm saying? I also would love to read Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi and Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. These have been on the docket for me to read for the longest. Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. I definitely want to read this before the end of the year. Another yaoi manga, Sasuke and Mayano by Shao Harusono. I would love to complete this before the end of the year. I'm looking forward to that. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston and Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I'm looking forward to reading these. Red, White, and Royal Blue's been on the docket, but I now kind of really want to read this as well. They both have the UK in common, and they're both like high-profile romances. B-Boy Blues by James Earl Hardy. The movie adaptation was filmed last year, and I believe it is in post-production currently. The adaptation for this has been long awaited. I definitely want to read this before the movie comes out, and definitely even before the trailer comes out. I would love to read Chulito by Charles Rice Gonzalez. This would be a great story to celebrate Latina Heritage Month. Another pair of books that have been on the docket for a while, I Can't Date Jesus and I Don't Want to Die Poor, both by Michael Arsenault. It would be great to actually read I Don't Want to Die Poor right along with Get Good with Money. It's just in a theme, you know. I also would love to read Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman and watch the movie adaptation. This has been long awaited. I've been longing to read this, longing to watch the movie, and definitely want to see what this peach thing is all about, because everybody keeps talking about a peach thing and I don't know what it's about, and I kind of can imagine it, but I'm also like, nah, that's not possible. What are we talking about here? I need to know what y'all are talking about, because that don't make no kind of sense. I heard it's not really in the book, it's actually in the movie, but I don't know. I want to see for myself, okay? Another book long awaited, The Black Veins by Aisha Monet. I have been looking forward to this for the longest. Anger is a Gift by Mark Ashiro. I've had this on a wish list for the longest. When I finally got it, I'm like, okay, I need to read it. I'm gonna have to read it before the end of the year. Another book that has an adaptation that I want to see, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I did hear that the adaptation is better than the book, but we will see. We gonna see, okay? Another Kaysen Callender book. This is kind of an epic love story. I've heard mixed reviews. Like, one of my friends says it's really good, and then I've heard other people say it's not really that good, it could have been better, da 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 da. I'm gonna go with my friend because I feel like we have similar tastes. This I definitely have to read before the end of the year. The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe, she recommended that I read this, so I definitely have to read this. This is also something that I definitely need to read before the end of the year. Binti, the Complete Trilogy by Nnedi Okorafor. I am looking forward to this. I've heard such great things about it. Like, I'm excited about reading this. I'm looking forward to it. If you have any recommendations of what I should read next of all the books that I need to read before the end of the year, let me know in the comments. I will definitely take that into consideration, and chances are that might be the next book I read. So thank you for spending your time with me, and I'm out this bitch like Fleek. Shout out to my girl Peaches. Thank you, girl.